There's this promise, right? It's been around for generations in America. Work hard, play by the rules, you'll get ahead, succeed.
Mm-hmm. It's the core idea, the American dream.
Exactly. But here we are in 2025, and looking at our sources, the reality feels pretty stark. Millions of Americans are now, well, openly questioning if that dream is even still alive.
Yeah, many believe it's fundamentally broken. Or maybe even, dead.
It's a huge shift, not just economic, but like in the whole national mindset.
Absolutely. It changes how people see their future, their government, everything, really, their place in the world.
For sure. So our mission for this deep dive, what we want to do is dig into why. Why has this feeling taken hold? And crucially, if there's still hope. Is the dream we knew still there, or is it becoming something else entirely?
That's the big question.
We'll be pulling out the key insights from the sources you've shared with us.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this.
Okay.
So to get where we are now, we kind of need to look back first, right?
Right. Context is key.
When we talk about that traditional American dream, our sources show it wasn't just some vague hope. It was specific.
Very specific. It usually meant getting a decent, stable job, owning a home.
And that clear path upwards.
Yeah.
Upward mobility, the idea that your kids would absolutely do better than you did.
That was the core of it historically, this really widespread belief, almost taken for granted, that each generation would surpass the last, economically, socially.
It was like built-in progress.
Yeah, exactly. A societal escalator, almost.
And this wasn't just an internal thing, was it? This vision, it went global.
Oh, absolutely. It fueled huge waves of immigration. People came here because of that promise.
And it gave the U.S. this reputation, this admiration worldwide, the land of opportunity, a beacon.
Mm-hmm. Which makes the current situation, the disconnect our sources describe, so striking.
Right, because that historical promise feels so different from what many Americans are saying they experience today in 2025.
Yeah, the narrative's flipped. Many feel locked out, even if they are working hard, playing by the rules.
Okay, so if that was the ideal, what exactly went wrong? What's been, eroding it?
Well, the sources point to some really big, tangible challenges.
The most immediate one seems to be just the cost of living, right? It feels like it's everywhere in the sources.
It is, and it starts with housing. Record high prices, not just in the big coastal cities anymore, but across the nation.
Yeah, it's not just trying to buy a house that's tough.
No, not at all. Rent is a huge piece of it. Our sources highlight how rent can eat up 40 to 50% of someone's income in many cities.
40 to 50%. Wow.
Yeah, it's just unsustainable. It makes it almost impossible to save, to invest, to get ahead in any meaningful way. It's like an economic vice.
And tied right into that is student debt.
Oh, definitely. The sources show it's like a pre-mortgage on people's futures, especially younger generations.
It forces delays on everything, right? Buying a home, starting a family.
Even starting a business,
Yeah.
taking risks. It's a huge weight, a trap, really.
So if you zoom out a bit, these aren't just isolated problems.
No, they're symptoms of something bigger, a major economic shift. The middle class, which was supposed to be the heart of the dream, well, it's shrinking.
And poverty is growing?
Exactly. It points to these systemic pressures really squeezing the average person's financial stability.
Okay, so costs are going up.
Yeah.
But what about the other side? What people earn? Our sources talk a lot about stagnating jobs and wages. How does that fit in?
It's the other half of the pincer movement, really. What the sources detail is this incredible gap
A gap between.
wages for most workers, which have barely moved in decades, maybe kept pace with inflation if you're lucky, and corporate profits, executive pay. Those have just soared.
Right. So people feel like they're working just as hard, maybe harder, but not seeing the benefit.
Precisely. And it's not just random. Sources point to things like weaker unions, globalization, policies that have tended to favor capital over labor. It's a fundamental shift in who gets the rewards.
And then you've got the rise of the gig economy layered on top of that.
And the sources aren't just saying, oh, it lacks benefits. They're pointing to a deeper shift.
How so?
Well, it basically shifts all the risk onto the worker. Things employers used to cover, health insurance, retirement, sick leave, that's now on the individual to figure out.
It's like a privatization of risk.
That's a good way to put it. It makes real financial security much harder to build, even if you're constantly working.
And if that wasn't enough uncertainty, AI and automation.
Yeah, the looming threat. Our sources definitely discuss that. How it could potentially displace millions of jobs, especially in roles that are repetitive or handle a lot of information.
So he put it all together. Wages aren't keeping up.
Mm-hmm.
Job security feels shaky. Your job might disappear.
It just feeds that feeling, that deep sense that hard work doesn't guarantee success anymore, or even just fair pay. The whole effort-reward balance feels broken for a lot of people.
Which brings us to another major theme in the sources, this idea of broken systems and how wealth is concentrated.
Right. It feels like some of the core pillars that were supposed to support people are actually failing them.
Like healthcare, for instance. The costs are just crippling, pushing families into bankruptcy.
It's a financial catastrophe waiting to happen for too many people. And education, too.
Yeah, education used to be seen as the great equalizer, right? The main path up.
But now, the perception, strongly backed by data in our sources, is that it's often overpriced, the quality can be uneven, and access isn't equal at all.
So it can actually reinforce inequality instead of reducing it.
In many cases, yes. It makes it harder for those without money to get the same opportunities.
And then there's the wealth concentration piece. Our sources really hammer this point, how much wealth is now held by a tiny fraction of people, the billionaires.
And it's not just about the numbers, though they are staggering. It's about the power that comes with that wealth.
Influence on policy.
Definitely. Influence on policy, market power that can stifle competition. It creates this feedback loop that makes it harder for everyone else to gain ground.
We actually touched on this in a previous deep dive, didn't we? Episode 14, I think. The connection between wealth concentration and broader impacts.
We did. It's a recurring theme. And the overall result of all these systemic issues, according to the sources.
People shift from dreaming to just surviving.
Exactly. It becomes less about aspiration, about building something, and more about just making it through the month. Survival mode.
Okay, so we've laid out a pretty bleak picture based on the sources. It really begs the question, is the American dream actually dead?
It's the unavoidable question, isn't it? But the sources suggest it's maybe more complicated than just yes or no.
How so? What about, say, immigrants? Many still come here seeing America as the land of opportunity, right?
They absolutely do. That idea, that vision of America still has incredible power globally. People still believe hard work can pay off here.
But
Well, what the forces clarify is that while the hope is real, these new arrivals often run smack into the same economic hurdles, the same systemic problems as everyone else.
So the dream might still be the motivation, but achieving it is way harder than they expected or harder than it used to be.
Exactly. The path is much steeper now. It often takes incredible resilience, maybe working multiple jobs, just to stay afloat, let alone get ahead.
And this also seems to highlight a really interesting generational divide in the sources.
Oh, absolutely. It's stark. You consistently see older Americans saying, well, the dream is still possible, maybe just harder.
While younger generations are.
Much more likely to say, flat out, it's gone, or it was never real for us. That's a profound difference in perspective.
It really is. So where does that leave us? Can the dream be rewritten,
Yeah.
fixed?
Well, there are definitely growing calls for big changes, which our sources detail.
Like policy changes.
Yes, major policy shifts. Things like large-scale affordable housing programs, serious action on student debt, maybe universal health care or major reforms. These aren't small tweaks.
They're calls for systemic change.
Right. And alongside that, something else is happening, especially with younger people. They're starting to redefine what success even means. It's not always about the big house and the fancy car anymore.
So less about traditional wealth metrics.
Yeah.
Wow.
The sources point to a growing focus on things like freedom, stability, having a decent work-life balance, maybe less stuff, but more security and time. That's a fundamental shift in the goal itself.
Okay, so if you put all that together, maybe the dream isn't actually dead.
That seems to be the implication from synthesizing the sources. It's not necessarily extinct.
But it's changing, evolving.
Exactly. Undergoing a profound transformation, maybe? Adapting partly out of necessity to these new realities, perhaps becoming less about purely individual gain and maybe more about, basic security and collective well-being.
So, to wrap up, the American dream. It once inspired the world, this incredible story of hope and possibility.
A powerful narrative.
But here in 2025, as we've dug into for many people across the country, it feels more like a myth, something that doesn't reflect their reality.
It really challenges a core part of the national identity, doesn't it? It forces us to rethink what progress actually looks like.
So the final thought we want to leave you with after this deep dive is this. Can America actually rewrite the American dream for this new era? Can it adapt to these challenges, these changing values?
Or is the concept we grew up with the one that drew so many here? Is that gone for good?
And maybe more personally, what does a redefined American dream look like to you?